Welcome to the 3 dimensions of the true you. We are so glad that you're here today. I'm Anjie Hipple, your host. You're here today because you believe in the law of attraction and you believe that you are the conscious creator of your own reality, but yet you're probably manifesting some things in your life that you really don't want still. Perhaps you're manifesting well in some areas and not in others, or your manifestations are just too slow for your taste. This webinar is going to be a breath of fresh air for you today. And we're going to be remembering and unlearning a few key things that are standing in the way of your mastering the manifestation process. For this is what we want you to know above all things. The battle is always won in between your two ears. And if you can change the way you think, you can change everything in your reality, and you can begin attracting the things your soul really wants. This presentation could also be called a blueprint for remembering your spiritual superpowers. Because you see, there's really nothing to do, only things to be remembered. Things that your soul, the true you, your eternal parts know, but you've somehow forgotten. And with that, you're going to rest and receive a huge remembering today, as we dive into exactly what the third, fourth, and fifth dimensional parts of the self are, and why each dimension matters so much to your life right now. Once you see what the third, fourth, and fifth dimensional parts of your being are all about, you won't be able to unsee it. And this perspective will bring to light why other things haven't worked, even with your best efforts and intentions. You see, you might spend many years reading books and following teachers, going to seminars, speaking to experts, coaches, psychotherapists, counselors, whatever. And you can do all of these different things to try to feel whole, to feel like you're more of your true higher self. And all of that's been fine for a time, and perhaps you maybe even found some golden nuggets along the way that were real treasures. But somehow all of those golden nuggets haven't added up to the enormous treasure that your soul is, the enormous treasure of the true you. But sometimes there's an intersection that you come to, and there are beings like Judah, angelic and other beautiful cosmic beings that can literally give you a hand up out of the things that have been troubling you, the things that haven't been working. And they can set you in a completely new mile of your journey where you're feeling light and joy and happiness and ease, and you're manifesting what you really want. And the cool thing about that is this leap can be so large that there's just no way to get back to who you were before. So for the investment of your time and your presence in this webinar, you're going to get the blueprint for remembering the true you, your spiritual superpowers, and for getting back on the path of fun and fulfillment. You are going to immediately be able to save time and money that you've been throwing at all sorts of personal development strategies that aren't painting the whole picture. They're not revealing the whole treasure of your soul. You are going to immediately feel a sense of empowerment and freedom not available when you're hitting your head against those same old walls of psychology, self-help, religion, medicine, all of those. And you're going to immediately raise your vibration today, and we will nudge you towards openness. And openness is the only thing necessary to get closer to mastering manifestation and even experiencing instant manifestations. Openness is a willing to release what's not working. It's a willingness to consider potential realities that are beyond your 5 senses. This presentation today is for people who have that sense of openness, and the evidence of that is your being here. You see, being here right now is the evidence that you do know how to attract love and support and divine intervention and angelic assistance and wisdom. So pat yourself on the back, for you have attracted this moment into your life. When you don't know about the 3 dimensions of the true you, you'll likely recognize at least one item in this list that you've undertaken in the past month alone, not to mention others that you might have considered in the past few days or even today. Living in a new city, getting a new job, scaling up, downsizing, getting promoted, getting married, getting divorced, having a baby, having an affair, getting a dog, doing more yoga, buying something new, getting a new hairstyle, having more friends on social media, getting more likes, trying a different way of eating, finding a different partner, losing 10 pounds, going to therapy, getting a sound bath, microdosing, hiring a life coach, taking a course in that new thing, trying a different therapist, attending 12-step meetings, attending more or different 12-step meetings, getting a sponsor, getting a different sponsor, working the steps, reworking the steps, telling a friend about it, using essential oils, praying more, trying that meditation, reading more scripture, getting a psychic reading, crystals, that other spiritual teacher, that other self-help book, living in an ashram, becoming a nun or a monk, going to the mission field, volunteering at the soup kitchen, quitting this job, trying Reiki, a new guru, a different church, a different meditation, that new gadget, having that talk I've been avoiding, taking that new medication, and on and on and on it goes. It's as if the egoic mind has hoodwinked and hijacked your soul, your higher self. The mind believes there is just one more thing, which if stuffed in your psyche's closet, along with all the rest, will be the one thing that you really needed all along to be happy and free. Your mind lies to you and says that there is something outside of you, something that you have yet to find, that is going to be your golden ticket. And if you keep trying, trying, totally resisting yielding, you'll finally figure out what that one thing is. So the mental hoarding continues until you are overrun and in despair, and your soul, your true self, is buried underneath the weight of all these metaphorical garments. You're long overdue for a closet clean-out. And this is caused by the mind being left in charge for too long. We do this even when we know better. You see, the mind is like a wicked servant. When the king is gone away on vacation, he will move into the king's chambers, roll around in the king's bed and eat the king's food, and tell the servants what to do, like he is the king. You may recognize some other side effects of allowing the mind to be in charge, such as you notice yourself living by secondary sources instead of your own authority, because the idea of trusting yourself is foreign to you. You don't trust or listen to your body, period. You listen in on others' opinions constantly in an effort to fit in with the society's norms, figure out how to blend in with everyone else, even though you know deep down inside that the greatest pain of your human experience so far has come from abandoning your soul and your purpose in order to be what other people expect you to be or what your life circumstances is demanding that you be. You seek first an external opinion before considering your own, maybe your best friends, your spouses, or that of your parents, your church, or your doctor. You might even hear their voices inside of you more loudly than you hear the voice of your own soul. In your spiritual journey, listening to biblical scholars, preachers, and spiritual teachers, instead of getting your material straight from source, this is the norm for you. Like those who overeat, many on a spiritual path consume spiritual food nearly unconsciously as a justifiably healthier form of entertainment than other offerings in the culture. You identify as a problem solver, an action taker, an A+ student in order to get on top of things, even though being nice and behaving well really hasn't been as rewarding as you had expected. But there is another way. You don't have to stay stuck in this pattern of one-dimensional living, this tendency towards problem solving and driving yourself to exhaustion trying to figure it all out. You're about to be shown powerful demonstrations of what it means to integrate the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions of the true you. As a fully integrated fifth dimensional being, which I will call the true you, Humans experience themselves as more than just their physical bodies with thoughts and emotional experiences. They understand they're more than the place that they were born and the parents that they were born to and the ways that they've been taught to think and act and behave. They understand themselves to be a spiritual being residing in a physical body. And they begin to move simultaneously and fluidly in both physical and spiritual dimensions. They experience themselves as souls grounded in unconditional love and peace. And they are able to maintain these soul states with consistency. A 5D being is connected to the part of their self which is eternal and has never been harmed, is flawless and perfect, all-knowing and all-wise. 5D humans exist in their 3D day-to-day reality with a supernatural capacity to remain unattached from problems and negative constructs, both those outside themselves and the ones between their own two ears. They are literally untouched and unmoved by whatever is happening in their 3D environment, and all the various mental and emotional parts of their personality have made peace. They've called a truce, and they have relaxed into following the soul's leadership. These 5D souls are destined to coexist in harmony and immortality on the physical planet Earth. This remarkable change will signify the fulfillment of this prophecy of Christ. In Luke 20, they will no longer die because they are immortal like the angels, and they are children of God because they are children of the resurrection. And as mysterious as all of that sounds, I'm going to break down for you today what it is that these evolved beings are doing differently, or should I say, what they've remembered. Because this isn't an action plan of doing, but it's a method for remembering what your soul already knows and bringing that to the forefront of your life. Remembering what your soul has forgotten that is slowing you down in realizing your enlightenment, your fulfillment and bliss. Remembering so that the true you can drop into place and be fully accelerated in its enlightened state. Now, the third dimension is the one that you can sense with your body. It's the one commonly accepted as your real life. It's the world of your five senses. The third dimension is the dimension in which you're looking for success and health and love to show up. And so often it's the dimension in which you're overdoing in an effort to control all those outcomes, to produce the outcomes you want. And it's the dimension that you do experience miracles that seem to come from some other place and time or some loving beings that are working on your behalf. You cannot simply exist and work in the 3D realm alone if you want to experience everything your soul was intended to be, because there is so much more to you. Now, the fourth dimension is your realm of thought and emotion. And each of us has a completely different experience that's unique to us because of our thoughts and emotions, and they're very specific to our own perspective and points of view and experiences. Now, when you have fully recognized and shown up for this part of yourself, your body and soul is directly connected to the powerful experiences of angelic company. In other words, instead of rearranging the furniture of your interior house with more therapy, more self-help, more church, or whatever, you'll get to allow otherworldly help, angelic assistance, and free yourself by letting them haul all the garbage away. And you will recognize physical sensations for what they really are. Transmissions of new and powerful source energy and a clearing up of old stagnant energies and blocks. And this trickles down into your third dimensional life and manifests the results that you're looking for, manifests the results that you can see, hear, touch, taste, and smell in your real everyday life. But there is more. To know the three dimensions of the true you, the fifth dimension is vitally important, often completely unrecognized or forgotten. It's like the fourth dimension in the sense that it's a realm that we can't see. We can experience it, but we can't see it, touch it, taste it, feel it with our 5 senses. But this 5D realm is completely free of all thoughts and emotional constructs and ways of being. It's a realm of expansive, open, blissful space. Our thoughts and emotions are beautiful, but they can at times, especially if we're really married or committed to certain ways of thinking and doing and being, they can limit who we are. And so in the 5D, fifth dimension, as we come into our place as a fifth dimensional being, then all of a sudden we're not limited by our experiences or what we think about our experiences or our lack of those experiences or our emotions. We're not limited by any of those things. We're not limited by time. And the limitations just fall away, and there's just openness and freedom. And that's where we're our true self, our God self, the part of us which is whole, which is unharmed and perfect, completely wise and all-knowing, which is full of life and light, which is eternal. And this fifth dimensional part of who we are is the key to really, truly knowing yourself as the creator of your reality, of manifesting consistently, and even instantly manifesting. The fifth dimension is where downloads of cosmic wisdom and gifts occur. This is where you become aware of your multi-sensory gifts. These are sometimes called clairvoyance or clairaudience or prophetic gifts. And they are unique spiritual superpowers that you were born with, and society and other influence have talked you out of them. Now, society may think of you as being uniquely inspired, creative, or even genius, but the truth is every soul has the capacity to connect to these fifth dimensional realities and states of being. But an openness and willingness to consider this fifth dimension is required. It's like setting your status to available for communicating with Source directly through visions, sounds, thought messages, and angelic visitations. Not everyone is ready and willing, but more and more and more there is a shift towards readiness. And this is what I and Judah are here for, to support you in this process, to normalize it, and to help others nurture their gifts and their true selves as they're being activated by angels and messages from beyond. So before we move on, if you're new to our Judah family and you haven't met Judah before, I'm Anjie Hipple, and I'm just a vessel, meaning I lend my voice and my being over to Judah, who is a collective of fifth dimensional angels. Judah is able to work interdimensionally in every realm of heaven and earth, but their passion and their primary focus is working with humans just like me and you in the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. Now, in the next portion of our time together, you are going to receive 3 powerful steps that you can take right now to experience and activate the 3 dimensions of the true you in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension. Remember, this is a remembering of who you are, but I'll be demonstrating 3 pieces of a larger 10-step blueprint that Judah has given me. And I encourage you to take notes on things that you hear today that are especially powerful and resonant for you. And with each step, you'll hear me channeling powerful historical figures who have come to assist me in illustrating these concepts for you. These are truly extraordinary visitors: Helen Keller, Joan of Arc, and Teresa of Avila. In a very real way, all you really need to do is raise your vibration and activate this powerful remembering here. Soak in these energetic transmissions and be willing to let go of resistance or preconceived ideas that you might have about angels, the fifth dimension, and your true nature. Let's dive in. The Sunflower Strategy. In this first part of the True You Blueprint, you will remember that your 5D soul craves light, emanates light, and is consumed with white light. Now we're going to allow the light of the true you to penetrate and saturate your 3D and 4D life in this step. We'll do that with what Judah and I call the Sunflower Strategy. The Sunflower Strategy acts as an interrupter for unwanted third and fourth dimensional energies that are suppressing the true you. It is your first step towards becoming an angel attractor and a powerful fifth dimensional soul. Remember, the third dimension is the material realm of your earthly life, and the fourth dimension is the realm of your thoughts, your emotions, your personality, and unique perspectives, all of which were formed by your life's experiences. Sometimes this is referred to as your egoic nature. With the sunflower strategy, you will hit the pause button on energetic drains and distractors, such as soul-sapping relationship dynamics, time wasters, patterns of thinking that are no longer serving you well, old historical emotional energies that are weighing you down, and current mental and emotional stressors and disruptions. Now, later in this course, you will learn shortcuts for working with your angels to completely and permanently remove these energetic blocks. But for now, the task is to begin interrupting them. The sunflower strategy will go to work right away to eliminate many of the negative traps that are rerouting your mental, emotional, and physical energy. It will also gently safeguard your heart from the seemingly unbearable stress and trauma of having more mental and emotional rubbish piled on to what you're already dealing with. If you suffer from PTSD, using the sunflower strategy will steer you towards safety and away from emotional triggers. When you consistently own this strategy, adding your own personal flair, it will begin to loosen the grip of mental and emotional attachments that are sidelining your happiness, and rewire the parts of your brain and cellular memory that are deeply subconsciously wired for pain, drama, and victimization. Most importantly, the sunflower strategy will bring moments of levity and joy into your current experience. This will create an energetic atmosphere that will attract even more moments of joy and the assistance of angels. So even if for now you are still manifesting some things you don't want, using the sunflower strategy will quickly bring some positive momentum into your overall picture. Without the sunflower strategy, you will likely continue investing your precious life force energy into myriads of mindless, meaningless soul suckers and your vain attempts to be rid of them. Soul suckers are anything in your tangible 3D environment and your intangible 4D thought processes and emotions that are misaligned with your true self and what your soul wants. If these are not interrupted, you can stay tangled up in debt, disease, relationship dramas, and all kinds of internal chaos. Soul suckers steal your precious attention away from what really matters to your soul and leaves you physically exhausted and emotionally drained. And worst of all, without awareness and conscious use of the sunflower strategy, you can be robbed of your soul's unique purpose for this incarnation and the opportunity to align with universal consciousness and work with powerful angels and cosmic beings. Now, I know these soul suckers oh so well. For more than 30 years, they kept me distracted, exhausted, and doubtful that I would ever be able to be consistently true to my higher self. As a self-help spiritual junkie, I spent tens of thousands of hours and a small fortune, trying to get rid of them. For this reason, I'm especially qualified to tell you what doesn't work, the costly mistakes that people make on the road to enlightenment in the 21st century. And here are some of the faulty strategies that I tried. Placating my soul suckers, playing nicely with my soul suckers, blaming my soul suckers, rescuing my soul suckers from their soul-sucking problems, smoothing over my soul suckers' ruffled feathers, explaining to my soul suckers why they should stop sucking the life out of both themselves and me, controlling and dominating my soul suckers, silencing or drowning out the noise of my soul suckers, giving my soul suckers the silent treatment, being codependent with my soul suckers, reading another self-help book about my soul suckers, acquiescing to my soul suckers, ignoring my soul suckers while secretly obsessing over them, donating money to my soul suckers so they would finally leave me alone, feeling guilty about my soul suckers, taking action against my soul suckers and thereby giving them even more of my precious time and attention, protesting my soul suckers, signing up for my soul suckers campaigns, volunteering my time to support my soul suckers, suing my soul suckers, thinking endlessly about how to fix my soul suckers, working overtime nights and weekends for my soul suckers, studying my soul sucker's personality profile in order to figure them out, divorcing my soul sucker and marrying another soul sucker, talking to a therapist about my soul suckers, white-knuckling it through another soul-sucking session with my soul suckers, giving sexual favors to my soul suckers, worshiping ecstatically to escape my soul suckers, chanting affirmations, changing jobs, cities, or partners to run from my soul suckers, changing my hair, my weight, my personality, my hobbies, or any other aspect of myself in a desperate attempt to repress my mental soul suckers, drowning my soul suckers with addictions, working the 12-step program with my other soul-sucked friends, burning out completely because of my soul suckers, getting deeply depressed with my soul suckers for my company, contemplating suicide to finally escape my soul suckers, justifying to myself why the soul suckers really aren't that bad, praying for my soul suckers, defending my soul suckers, isolating from my soul suckers in self-protection, medicating, or just flat out going unconscious so I don't have to feel the pain of my soul suckers. Now, after trying all of these and more, I began to embrace surrender on a deep, deep level. I didn't have any answers, and I knew it. Not only did I know it, I finally accepted it. The only prayer that I had left for whoever or whatever was out there was, "Help!" And then I entered a season of miracles. A wise, powerful, and loving family of angels called Judah literally burst into my life. Within hours of their appearance, I was instantly healed of a debilitating 2-year chronic illness, and a rapid supernatural cleanup of my interior life began. The mental and emotional constructs that had been destroying my life began falling away as if by magic. It all seemed so fringe and so weird, but I couldn't deny the personal transformation. It was so sacred. What religion, Prozac, self-help, and psychology had failed to give me, these angels were bringing to me in spades, and their gifts were so extravagant it was almost overwhelming. Judah's presence was dramatically raising my vibration, so much so that sometimes my whole body was humming with electrifying energy. Even my teeth vibrated. I felt this extraordinary hope and positive momentum from their nightly visits. And as if that wasn't enough, Judah began inviting more friends to the party. Each evening, new and unexpected cosmic beings from the 5th to 12th dimensions were coming into our living room with this extraordinarily high vibration and these profound wisdom teachings. As a result, in just a few months' time, I acquired an uncanny ability to look my soul sucker square in the eyes and be completely at ease, free of their power. In our time together, Judah, the cosmic A-listers, and I are going to tag team to teach you step by step how to receive your own powerful transformation and begin working with your powerful, high-vibe, non-physical teachers. And the sunflower strategy is where we will begin. Early in our relationship, Judah gave me a powerful message about sunflowers. Perhaps because I've spent so many happy hours tromping around in a sunflower field that's close to our mountain home. I love to snap pictures of these giant beauties. Angels are excellent teachers. They know exactly how to communicate the truths that we need the most. Thankfully, their wisdom is simple, it's powerful, and effective. And most importantly, anything the angels teach us automatically comes packaged with their supernatural energetic assistance to make it a reality in our life. Here was Judah's channeled message about the sunflowers. We are seeking ones like unto sunflowers. Sunflowers turn their faces towards the sun, away from the shadows, and they follow its traverse through the sky throughout the day. We are looking for people who will turn away from negativity and look boldly into the light of what is good. We are not talking about being positive in a silly, irresponsible, or naive way, denial, or faking a sunny disposition. No, we are talking about having the determination not to give attention to anything but those things which are emanating light and life. Sunflowers are one of Mother Nature's miraculous, mystical teachers. They have a unique talent for optimizing the sun's rays for their own growth and health. This phenomenon is called heliotropism, and it's an innate, natural tendency to move directionally towards the light. As the sun travels through the sky from sunrise to sunset, a maturing sunflower gently turns its face to follow the sun on its journey. Whatever shadows exist lie behind her. During the night, she magically reorients herself to face east once again in anticipation of the morning sunrise. Oh, why do sunflowers do this remarkable sun dance? Well, it enables them to absorb maximum light energy from the sun in order to radically increase their growth rate and fertility. As a result, sunflowers can grow up to 10 feet tall. Mother Nature gave them an effortless, pleasant, and powerful shortcut that produces such amazing results. Not only are sunflowers the giants of the flowering world, their huge heart centers are packed with life-giving seeds for sustaining the birds, other small creatures, and even we humans. Now, don't miss that metaphor. Young sunflowers use this intuitive inner guidance of following the sun until they are fully mature. So to be a maturing spiritual sunflower means consistently guiding your thoughts and emotions towards what is full of life-giving energy, gently adjusting your gaze towards the 3D people, places, and things, and the 4D thoughts and emotions that will grow your soul into its full glorious stature. Philippians 4:8 says, "And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about those things that are excellent and worthy of praise." Once a sunflower reaches full maturity, she faces east all the time, anticipating the next sunrise. To be a fifth-dimensional soul is to be like a mature sunflower, consistently and intuitively oriented towards that which has positive, life-giving qualities, that which is eternally true, and that which is full of high-vibe energies. Enlightened humans no longer feel the need to engage all the rest. They don't need to resist their internal shadows or their external challenges, and they don't need to deny their existence either. They simply do not give them their attention. The sunflower's instincts are based upon an immutable law of the universe called the law of attention. The law of attention states that what you give attention to will grow, and what you withdraw attention from will languish and die. As the law of gravity rules the 3D earth plane, so the law of attention rules your realms of 3, 4, and 5D. The sunflower strategy is about giving attention to what you want so that you can grow more of that very thing. Einstein said, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way." The sunflower strategy is a single action. It is turning towards the light. In this turning, you are simultaneously turning away from what is unwanted. However, the sunflower strategy emphasizes turning towards rather than turning away from. This is key because based on the law of attention, withdrawing attention from your soul suckers has a very happy consequence. Just like a plant which is given no sunlight or water, they will begin to shrivel up and die from lack of attention. You will know you are becoming a 5D master of the sunflower strategy when your turning away is accompanied by complete ease in your soul. Your turning away will have this quality of loving indifference and complete neutrality towards the person, places, and things that you're looking away from. The turning away is not a harsh abandonment of others or the building of a wall. It is only a quiet shift of focus. Being a spiritual sunflower means there is no resistance within you, no judgment about what is now lying behind you in the shadows. Each morning when you awake like a sunflower, turn your attention
to your own personal metaphorical suns. What makes you laugh? What gives you peace? What is easy and feels good? What is true? What is inspiring? What is filling you with warmth and good energy? What feels like nurturing soil for your soul? Then as your day progresses and thoughts and circumstances fight for your attention, continue gently adjusting your focus back towards the energies you want. Now, we're not talking about some fake Pollyanna charade of positivity wherein you're stuffing your feelings in order to become a walking time bomb of repressed emotion. This is not that. It is also not an irresponsible pretending that things aren't what they are or that you don't feel what you feel. Instead, you're making a conscious choice that in spite of all the internal and external distractions and energy suckers of your life, you're going to stay drenched in the sun's powerful rays. Moment by moment, you will trust your instincts and your intuition and make small adjustments, sometimes very small adjustments, giving your attention to the closest thing in your immediate environment that will bring you life. And if you're feeling trapped by a particular situation or way of thinking, or overwhelmed by a negative energy in the moment, hit the pause button. Here's an acronym for you: PAUSE. Pause, action, until serenity enters. If you feel stuck, pause and use these questions to help you reorient your focus again. What can I do in this moment to take care of myself? To be loving to myself? What can I do right now that would feel good to my body and my soul? What would a loving parent do for me right now in this moment? What do I really want to be giving my attention to right now? Now use these questions to think of 3 possible options for the exact moment that you're in. Then make the choice that has the best potential for feeling good to your soul. Just brainstorming options has a way of making you feel better in the moment and lightening your load. Anything that doesn't bring harm to yourself or others are options on the table. Choose one of those 3 options and then commit. Turn yourself fully towards that and leave the shadows behind. But Angie, you say, you have no idea how dark my life is right now. I'm in so much despair, I couldn't find a bit of light in my life to turn towards. I'm struggling just to survive, to stop crying, to put one foot in front of the other. And this, my dear, is why you must begin using the sunflower strategy right now. Several years ago, I found myself in a series of unfortunate events. My father died suddenly, and his longtime employee had been embezzling my inheritance, even before my father was buried in the ground. As an only child, I was in a terrible state of grief. Yet I felt I had to step in and fix this embezzlement mess and run the family business, which unfortunately was 2 hours away from my home. And to boot, it was a car business, something that I knew nothing about. My mother and my daughter's young family were dependent on the business for their livelihood at that time. And meanwhile, I was still working as a second-grade teacher with 2 teenagers of my own at home. And as if that wasn't enough, my 27-year marriage began falling apart, and my children were devastated by the breakup. I finally just ran from it all with my tail between my legs. I left behind my dream job as a teacher and the community which had loved and supported me for more than 20 years. I even broke ties with my spiritual family, this vibrant megachurch that graciously shared their worship platform with me. Singing was my passion. It was the sunlight in my soul. And so I really felt like this was the last straw. I became deeply depressed, and I was growing angrier by the minute. And I felt prone to these hysterical outbursts and angry rages that I'd never experienced before, and developed PTSD. Now, after 4 years of hiding and trying to get my shit together, just when I thought I might be getting my feet underneath me, COVID came calling and left me nearly dead. I remember so vividly the day that the sunflower strategy was born in my heart. I hadn't met Judah yet at this point, and clever strategies like the sunflower strategy, that was not even on my radar. I was just trying to stay alive. And as I was facing another day, after weeks and weeks and months of being confined to the bed all day long, I looked out the window at this mighty oak in my yard. Oh, I let go of all the problems of the last few years and all the pain that I was in, the physical pain, all my fears about the future, even my fear of death. I turned away from all of that and I turned towards that glorious mighty oak in my yard and the tender rustling leaves, and I watched the leaves flitting about in the wind, and I listened to the train rolling down the train tracks near my house. And at that moment, I just looked into the sunshine streaming through my window. I let my mind go blank. I came into the moment, and I just felt gratitude for the beating of my heart, the comfort of my pillow and my soft bed, and the beauty of the room that I was in. This was the beginning of the sunflower strategy. Helen Keller once said, "Keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see the shadows." And I don't think it's an accident that this quote came from a woman who lived in total silence and darkness. I mean, if anyone knew about shadows and desperation, it was Helen Keller. And if anyone had an excuse to not look on the sunny side or to feel sorry for herself, it was definitely her. Helen was left blind and deaf and mute by an early childhood disease, and she lived her young life in blackness and silence. Only way she could communicate with the people in her life were through crude hand gestures. She faced overwhelming difficulties, and she was prone to violent outbursts as a child due to her frustration at not being able to communicate. When Helen's teacher, Anne Sullivan, came into her life, she began to learn about the world beyond her dark silence. Every word that she learned through finger spelling was like a ray of sunlight to her soul. So Helen turned towards learning these new words with every bit of her determination. One day Anne spelled, "I love you," in Helen's hand. And Helen replied by finger spelling, "What is love?" She had never encountered this word or the concept before. She gestured to Anne to ask, "Is it the warmth of the sun on my face?" It seemed that even though she couldn't see, Helen understood the power of turning her face to the sun, the power of giving her attention to the life-giving force, the power of her own determination to learn and to break free of her difficulties. And ironically, this was her first understanding of the concept of love. Helen was a glorious heliotropic heroine. She was famous for her sunny outlook. She was a bright soul who understood the power of turning away and turning towards. Before I ever coined the phrase, Helen lived the sunflower strategy. She overcame incredible odds to be a great orator and a thinker, an author, and an eternal optimist who left a really bold mark on the world.
Hello, hello. Hello, you beautiful ones. It is a joy to be able to tell my story. It has always been a joy to be able to tell my story because when I was young, it was a terrible frustration, a deep darkness in my soul that I could not share my feelings or my thoughts. My way of understanding and experiencing the world was so limited to just the instinct of my ability to smell and what I could feel from the touch of my fingertips. And indeed, many times I threw myself to the ground in fits of rage and tears and frustration that I could not communicate. And there was oh so much despair. And so now in this moment, it is a joy to be able to speak through the lips of this one, to share. And yes, my dears, when it is oh so dark, hold on, even if you feel blind. deaf, mute. If your circumstances have weighed you down oh so heavily, take heart, take heart, take heart. These things are only temporary. They are only temporary. As they say, they are like pressure on a piece of coal in order to form you into a beautiful diamond. Extraordinary. And when you cross over, you shall understand. You shall understand. You shall understand how all of it is working together for your good. And yes, I was known for my irrepressible optimism. As a young woman and an adult, once I learned to communicate, I became a great, great orator with my pen and paper and through my translators and my sign languaging. A great orator of many fantastic imaginations and creations that were brewing and bubbling in my soul, even in the darkness of the silence. And yes, it is not ironic. It is ironic. It is so ironic that I be the one who say, keep your face to the light. So even though I never saw the light with my physical eyes, I could feel the warmth of the sunshine on my face, just like this vessel feels it now upon her face. And so because of that, I could imagine the glory of the sun. And so listen to the words of this vessel. She has taught you a great truth. In any moment of your day or night, think a better thought. Think a better thought. Make a choice that leads you toward this warmth of the sun. And if you are in despair and you cannot find the thought, if you cannot find the light of the sun, call to these beautiful angels for help, and they will be there to assist you. Turn away, my dear, from what is stealing your life and joy. Turn away from it, because one day your life will be over. You see, it is just a dash. Your life is just a dash between the date of your birth and the date of your death. And if you are lucky enough to make a real impact in this world, perhaps someone will speak of you and remember your story like they do mine. Perhaps. But only if you become determined at this juncture to turn away from what is not serving you anymore and turn your face to the sun. And I thank you for the joy of sharing this message with you. And I look forward to meeting you one day. And just know, my dears, that so many, as they would call us, conquerors and victors and heroes and heroines in this life that have passed on, we still exist. We still exist amongst something that the scripture called a great cloud of witnesses. And we are here, and we are cheering you on. And we never forget about you or lose sight of you. We are constantly thinking of you and whispering our words of wisdom in your ear. And if you stick with this vessel, and she will help you get the stuffing out of your ears and the sleep out of your eyes, so that you will know and experience the extraordinary support of this great cloud of witnesses. Yes, even today, may you begin to be aware of us all. Of us all. And so my dear, my name, as you know it, is Helen Keller, and I give you all my love and grace and help to begin practicing this sunflower strategy.
I'll leave this step with the last quote. Helen Keller once said, "When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us. Today, my friend, right here in this moment, a door is opening up for you. Are you ready? Our second step in the blueprint for the true you is childlikeness. Remember, you are a child of the universe. Mark Twain said, "Do not grow old, no matter how long you live. Never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born." Angels and other cosmic guides are always looking for humans to engage in long-term, intimate working relationships, and childlikeness is at the top of their list of desirable qualities. If angels used apps to find new partners for their work on Earth, they would swipe right on the pictures of humans having lighthearted fun. Why? Because openness, imagination, wonder, and curiosity, these are the stuff of faith. And faith is the atmosphere for miracles, and miracles is the air that angels breathe. So together, we're going to peruse your angel attractor profile in this step and remove some of the more serious and overly burdened aspects of your egoic nature in order to free your innate childlikeness. As you embrace childlikeness in this step, doors to new and miraculous angel encounters will open for you with the potential to bring enormous freedom to your soul. You will remember and recover parts of your soul that have been waylaid by the stresses of everyday life and other painful traumas. A sense of safety will enter as your higher self steps up like a loving parent to all the parts of who you are, especially your delicate and vulnerable childlike parts. As your soul relaxes into this space of trust, you will naturally open to the unseen realms of angels with purity and innocence. You may begin to see white flashes or trails of light or floating etheric mist with your physical eyes. You will experience the distinct feeling that someone is in the room with you and feel the physical heat of their presence. A flow state will ease into the 3D and 4D areas of your life that are aligned with your 5D soul. And as a result of this alignment, you will become a mighty magnet for angels. Without remembering your childlikeness, you can become entirely too serious about your spiritual journey with an oppressive sense of over-responsibility for yourself and others, maybe even for the condition of the world. The ego needs to see itself as blameless and perfect, and it rarely has a sense of humor. In contrast, your innate childlikeness is comfortable with being curious and making big, messy mistakes along the road to your enlightened self. Remember, angels aren't looking for perfect partners, only willing ones. Unless you bring your childlikeness to the forefront of your remembrance, your fearful, controlling parts will likely subvert your attempts at spiritual progress. Each of us has an internal critical parent. It's a psychic, egoic energy created from all the controlling, critical messages of parents, teachers, religious leaders, all the cultural mindsets of our experiences. And this internal critical parent can be really loud. It can dominate the landscape of your soul. It drives you with shoulds and should-haves and all these unrealistic, relentless demands of perfection. Now, remembering your childlikeness will begin to turn down the volume of your inner critical parent and create a more relaxed attitude for your spiritual pursuits. Gentle, consistent, and natural growth will be your reward in this step. Having a childlike approach to spiritual exploits and angel encounters will safeguard your soul from the ego's tendency towards spiritual narcissism. Spiritual narcissism occurs when we consciously or unconsciously use our spiritual practices to draw attention to ourselves, to feel superior, or to maintain a sense of separateness from others. Now, the ego is always looking for ways to feel special, and seeing ourselves as a heroic saint or a spiritual guru fits the bill quite nicely. Fortunately, embracing childlikeness keeps the ego just off balance enough to remove both your ego and others from your spiritual pedestal. Your higher self is your inner child. And until you know this to be true, you may mistakenly try to fix your childlike parts or hide them in the back bedroom of your psyche, out of sight and out of mind. Undervaluing and diminishing your childlike parts in this way is equal to silencing your higher self, and it's a terribly ineffective strategy. Your fearful parts will convince you that if you let your inner child out to play and explore, things might spin out, and your inner critical parent will lose control of the situation. You don't really like your inner critical parent. She's quite tyrannical, but at least she keeps things from falling apart, right? A childlike exploration of unseen spiritual realms with angels and ETs and such, well, they can seem especially dangerous to your fearful controlling parts. If you fear falling prey to malevolent spirits with evil intentions, you may create rigid religious rules and fences, or you may try to maintain a strict adherence to self-protective spiritual practices so, things don't get too weird. But remember, tens of thousands of beautiful childlike spiritual explorers were burned at the stake because of these sorts of fears. Don't let fear hinder your childlike curiosity and prevent you from encountering the loving wisdom and power of angels. Trust your inner guidance system. First, begin approaching your everyday life and personal growth process with gentle curiosity. For years, my orientation towards personal growth was serious and intense. While I had glimmers of hope and even a handful of very supernatural encounters, I knew that I was blowing it big in some areas of my life. I wanted to figure out what was wrong so that I could stop hurting myself and others. Because I felt depressed and broken and unhappy much of the time, my spiritual practices originated from this sense of not being enough and needing to fix myself. Then miraculously, my 5D inner child began breaking through to my consciousness. I began to let myself off the hook, to relax and take a more playful and forgiving approach to my inner workings. Instead of feeling broken and in need of repair, I embraced my soul as perfect, and I began to view my more egoic parts as necessary friends and protectors along my spiritual journey. Indeed, they had been the cocoon for the emerging butterfly of my soul. As I embraced new levels of acceptance for my less desirable parts, my ego began to settle down and trouble me less. I stopped apologizing so much, and I became more gentle with myself and others. I began to let my bad parts kind of hang out rather than stuffing them in the back of my psychic closet. My approach to spirituality became an easy, expansive, and childlike exploration rather than some desperate attempt to fix what was wrong. I became like a child on the beach, playfully sifting my fingers through the sands of my life, allowing the wind and the water to either add to or diminish my creations. I understood that it was all cosmic play, and anything that I created would ultimately be swept away in the currents of time and consciousness. I came to see that I was, above all other things, a child of the universe, and I would always be so, a child of God. And there wasn't a deadline on my journey to enlightenment. When you see something that you don't like in yourself, be gentle. Allow your inner child to lead, and tell your inner critical parent to take a time out. Be a non-judgmental, unattached observer of whatever you find in yourself. I'm curious about that. Why did I respond that way? Why am I thinking that thought? Leave room for mistakes, and be generous with self-forgiveness. When your ego self comes out like a hand-waving beauty queen on a parade float, have a laugh at yourself. Oh gosh, there's my ego. I wonder why I'm feeling so insecure right now that I need to act like a narcissistic pageant girl. Or, oh goodness, there I am needing to play the victim again, feeling sorry for myself. Allow yourself to be curious about why you do the things you do and think the thoughts you think. Could you just be what you are in this moment? Profound insights and freedom can come into those spaces of acceptance, allowance. Exchange your judgments about yourself for an attitude of neutral and playful curiosity. Second, to be more childlike, become really comfortable with not knowing all the answers. Children come into this world seemingly knowing nothing. They only have the instinct to suckle at their mother's breast, and they can just look into her eyes and just be in bliss. And in this know-nothing state, children are completely content. And isn't it too bad that we're so intent on training them away from their innocence? Let "I don't know" be your soul's freedom cry. Why? Because people who have everything figured out are either consciously or unconsciously shutting out the true source of all knowledge and the wisdom of angels. Why would an angel, or any other being for that matter, offer assistance to someone who already has everything figured out? Admitting that you don't know silences the ego who believes it's always right and should always be obeyed. Oh, think about this. Everything you know right now brought you to this moment in your life. So if you're comfortable with everything in your life right now, if everything is exactly how you wish it to be, then everything you know right now is enough for your journey. If, however, you want to be someone more expansive and more free than who you are at this moment, you must understand that you do not know what is required for that expansion to happen. If you did, it would already be yours. Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Matthew 18:3. Be childlike by being in the moment. Very young children do not feel compelled to direct their lives in any sort of way. They do not care about goals or performing well for others or being productive. Play is natural to them, and they do what feels good in the moment. They are content to just be, to exist. They are able to lean into spontaneity without evaluating all the potential outcomes. Be who you are in this moment with total acceptance. Children feel complete in and of themselves. Unlike adults, they don't need to build or defend a reputation or be cool. They allow themselves the freedom to just be what they are. When a young child hears music, he or she naturally begins to move their body to the sound. They don't need to understand the word dance or be given dance lessons. They don't feel they need to be experts at what they're going to do. And they don't feel self-conscious in any sort of way. They just move their bodies and allow themselves to be caught up in the joy of the music. I remember when my daughter was very young and insisted on dressing herself as many young children do. Black and white striped pants were the perfect companion to her purple and aqua striped shirt. And the wearing of these two together made her completely happy. She was still innocent of the expectations of adults and cultural norms, and this innocence kept her safely in the arms of joy. To really set your soul free, get in alignment with your childlike nature. Be who you are, be in the moment, and unhook yourself from entanglements with any people, places, or things that are based on fear, obligation, or guilt. Here's an acronym for you: FOG, fear, obligation, and guilt. And these three will keep you in a spiritual fog. Back out of every possible commitment you have that makes you feel obligated. Anything that you're doing out of guilt or pleasing others or fear of rejection. Your inner child will thank you, and the angels will greet you. Joan of Arc is our example of childlikeness. She was called the Savior of France, and she was a national French heroine. Joan was an iconic testimony to the raw spiritual power of being childlike and its potential to impact the earth for good. Joan was an uneducated peasant girl born during the 100 Years' War, and this was a time of deep darkness in France's history in which the citizens were regularly raped and bludgeoned and murdered. Their homes were repeatedly plundered and burned to the ground. Joan grew up in this atmosphere. Yet even as a child, she was deeply devoted to spiritual pursuits and simple acts of kindness. One story of her childhood tells of a stranger knocking at the door, and Joan giving him her meager porridge supper because she could tell that he was hungry. She didn't know if he was a friend or a foe, and she didn't care. Her childlike gesture was completely courageous in such dangerous times. Like Helen Keller, Joan had this uncanny ability to maintain focus on the light amidst really grave darkness. Frances' fate had hung in the balance for so long, and the outlook was terribly bleak, but Joan comforted herself and others with her own unique brand of faith and prayer. At the age of 12, Joan began falling into trance-like states, as well as seeing angels and hearing messages from beyond. If she were alive today, she would have likely been diagnosed as schizophrenic and been heavily medicated or institutionalized. Joan's encounters included visits from Archangels Michael and Gabriel, other angelic groups, and 2 martyred saints that she identified as St. Catherine of Alexandria and St. Margaret of Antioch. Joan laid claim to a personal and intimate relationship with God and angels in a time when such claims were heretical, when such claims might get you burned at the stake, and only the patriarchal priesthood were allowed such privileges during those times. In these encounters, the angels and saints spoke to Joan about the destiny of France and heaven's wishes and intentions for the nation. She listened very intently to these messages and kept them close to her heart. Although she had been groomed for marriage and family, these angelic beings and ascended saints gave Joan a serious commission to rescue France, even though she was really just a child. And she was determined to follow their instructions. They continued to visit Joan over a period of several years. Ultimately, the angels gave Joan very specific directions for her tactical maneuvers as leader of the French army, and also instructions to carry out the coronation of France's rightful king. At the age of 17, with absolutely no experience in arms or battle, she courageously led the siege at the Battle of Orleans. And in the thick of battle, day after day, she surfaced over and over again amongst the soldiers, waving her white flag and lifting their spirits. Joan was sickened by the bloody death all around her, and she wept for the dead of England and France equally, yet she would not turn back from her mission. Under her brilliant leadership, the battle was won and the king was crowned. Although Joan was very childlike in her faith and her physical stature, she was in no way childish or immature or irresponsible. She was impeccable with her word. She believed that she was an instrument of God and the fulfillment of the wizard Merlin's prophecy about a virgin who would become the savior of France. Joan was later sentenced to death after a mock trial. Her crimes were her claims to have heard the voice of God and of angels, and also dressing in men's clothing. Joan was true to the voices of her beloved angels at every turn. She never bowed to the men in authority, whether they be priests or kings. And she remained true to her 5D self, her inner childlike part that was a child of the universe with a heavenly destiny. She stayed true to her heavenly friends and her task.
Jean here. Jean and... That was my name when I walked on the earth so long ago. Yes, so very long ago to you, and it is a joy to share with you today. I worry over you all quite a bit, it is true. I watch and listen, and I say my prayers to Source. I tread amongst the holy archangels here and the saints, and I send my loving prayers for humanity. I understand you feel that your time is so very, very dark and unequaled in your experience. But my dear, the time in which I lived was, oh, so dark. Ignorance and hatred and despair ruled in my beloved France. And I was not an extroverted child. I wasn't particularly valiant or brave, except that I had these beautiful beings, Saint Catherine and Saint Margaret and glorious Michael, and even the Lord Jesus himself came to me on occasions, and it was they who gave me this extraordinary bravery. I felt I had nothing to lose but my life, and my life really meant nothing to me outside of whatever service I might bring to these beautiful beings which had captured my heart, and so there was nothing to lose. And their messages were so clear, and they were so persistent. And so what was I to do but to follow their pointings, their leadings? And they were so gracious when I was afraid to persist and to clarify and to encourage me along. And I cannot say that I was so brave in the midst of battle, for my heart was rent in two by the suffering and death that I saw. But there I was, and there was nothing to do but to continue on and hold fast to what I had been told and move in faith. What more is there, my dear, when things are dark for you, when they are difficult? You must find your white flag. You must find your innocence. You must find your white flag, and you must lift it up and wave it with all your might. And when the battle pulls you under, as it did me, I would be pulled under by the warfare around me and be lost and disoriented and overcome. And then somehow I could scramble up again above the bodies and the noise and once again lift my white flag and wave it and rally my dear brothers, my dear brothers. And so when you get pulled under, my dear, and you feel afraid, it is okay. Just get back up, find your white flag of surrender, and continue surrendering to source energy. You see, you can manifest, yes, things that you want, but there is even a higher way than that, and it is to surrender to a source of all wisdom that is greater than you. The one that knows best, that really knows best. Father knows best. And so if you can wave your white flag of surrender, and even though I was a girl, and even less than a girl, a peasant with really no say in the world in which I lived, I found camaraderie with my beleaguered brothers, so violent wicked at times, violent and evil men, yet they could see some light in me, and I was able to lead them with love. And I wish to shift this in your circles of saints and spiritually minded ones. I entreat you, please open your arms to those you deem evil or unworthy or of a lesser station in purity of heart, and begin to love them and lead them with childlike faith. I entreat you in this. And I give you now a blessing from on high, from all the saints and the beautiful angels. Be blessed, my dear ones. Be strengthened in your courage, in your innocence and purity, in your determination to fulfill the command of your soul, to be who you are and to fulfill the destiny for which you have come to the earth at this time. I give you my blessing. Amen. Thank you.
Joan's simple childlike faith allowed her to lead armies, conquer enemies, and restore hope to an entire war-torn nation. Her ability to create these miracles was directly related to her childlikeness in her relationship to the unseen, to the angels, and to other non-physical guides. In our next segment of this webinar, you will begin engaging angelic help for the causes most important to you. The Angel app. Remember, angels are always with you, always on your side. Our next step in accelerating the true you is activating the assistance of angels and other cosmic guides in your life. What if there were a free angel app that you could download on your phone and then have direct engagement with one or more angels any time of the night or day? And what if in this app your angels gave instant responses to any requests you made? And these responses were always wise, loving, and relevant to your needs. What if they came with the added bonus of a tangible, vibrational boost like a supercharger to your body, mind, and spirit? Well, here is the great news. You have such an angel app built right into the system of your soul, and it doesn't require a 3D phone or Wi-Fi connection. You can activate your childlike faith in this moment and your unlimited capacity for connecting with angels and other cosmic beings. Unlike social media platforms, in the realm of your soul, there is no limit to how many angel friends you can have or how many angel messages you can receive. Connecting with your angels is as easy as opening up an app and sending and receiving messages. And the more attention that you give these messages, the more of them you will receive. Maya Angelou said, "Ask for what you want and be prepared to get it." In the Angel app step, you will begin engaging angels for empowering the true you and accelerating the expansion of your 3D, 4D, and 5D life. You will communicate with angels in a very natural way, just as you would in relationship with a close friend or a partner. As you develop this new habit, you will begin to experience angels' tangible influences in your day-to-day life. Most importantly, you will experience the positive momentum that their involvement brings, and this acceleration will include a literal vibrational upgrade to your physical energy and a lift in your overall mental and emotional state. You will receive downloads of cosmic information through blocks of inspired thought, writing, art, music, and many other potential modalities with a lot less buffering time. And you will begin to notice the supernatural influence of angels and various serendipitous, fortunate events. When your soul has forgotten about your eternal and ongoing relationship with angels, you might struggle with a sense of loneliness or feeling unsupported by the important people and social structures in your life. You may struggle with supporting your own true self and the other more difficult parts of who you are. The angelic help available is hidden from your view. Also, without activating your internal angel app, you may continue stumbling through the vast offerings of personal growth resources out there, looking for the answers that you want and need. The unintended consequence of this is that it reinforces this subtle and conscious lie that the answer is somehow outside of your soul self, and you just can't find it. However, when you ask angels, you will receive answers that are specifically tailored for your immediate needs, and those answers will be completely aligned with your soul. Angels always work in alignment with both the true you and Source. More importantly, angels' answers are accompanied by the raw spiritual power to create the outcomes that your soul most needs. And that is something that no author, teacher, or spiritual guru can do for you. If you have forgotten your soul connection to your angel friends and spirit guides, you may mistakenly look to external and perhaps even unreliable sources for guidance. You know, the Hierophant types such as priests, gurus, political leaders, psychics, and others. Perhaps these have real wisdom to offer you from their spiritual journeys. But even the purest messages of enlightened beings may not be exactly what is needed for this specific mile of your journey. Your angels, however, know exactly what the moment requires for the highest good of the 5D true you. They get their information straight from Source. Judah once said to me, "Angels are a class act support team. We never drop the ball. We always meet our deadlines. We never show up late or go to bed early. We are a class act." So how can you remember and activate your soul's internal angel app? First, there are angels and other cosmic beings that are quite naturally attracted to you when you're resonating at higher vibrations. It's the same for you, is it not? You are naturally attracted to friends and lovers who are vibrant and upbeat, people who are positive and self-assured, and you're likely repelled by others who have a consistently low-vibe disposition. Well, angels are really no different. As you remember your soul's need to feed upon the light, as you practice the sunflower strategy, your personal light emanation will increase. And every choice, no matter how small, has the potential to raise your vibrational frequency. Each time you turn towards a brighter and better feeling and focus, something more aligned with the true you, your light energy and growth are accelerated. The true you's inner light then becomes a homing beacon that's attracting angels. Judah once said, "Humans have a tragic flaw. They do not believe in what they cannot see." So remember what your soul knows, that angels exist and that they want to be involved in your evolution. Ask your higher self to reactivate your childlike faith in the existence of non-physical beings. Ask your higher self to open doorways into the unseen realms and to reestablish connections with your own personal team of high-vibe non-physical beings. Then ask for an overall increase in your awareness of angels and other cosmic beings. Consider that there are angels present with you in this very moment. For now, don't worry about to whom you are making these requests. Allow your concepts about unseen realms, your higher self, the universe, and God, allow all those to be open-ended. If you are an atheist or agnostic, that's okay too. I have found in my own personal experience, it is generally easier for an agnostic person to create relationships with angels than it is for a devoutly religious person who thinks they know all about God and angels. Also, don't be overly concerned about how to ask. Just ask. A good place to begin is to simply ask your angels to help you to be more aware of their presence. Make this ask aloud or in your thoughts, whichever is more comfortable for you. You might also want to put pen to paper and write down your asks as notes to your angels, or you can even send your angels a text by sending a text to yourself. If you reread these notes and text at a later date, you're likely going to be amazed by the answers that you received. Do your best to stay open without judging or contracting in fear, and keep repeating these simple asks as many times as you'd like. Hebrews 1:14 says, "Are not all the angels ministering spirits sent by God to serve, accompany, and protect those who will inherit salvation?" Of course they are. Now, let's remember and reactivate your true you connection to your guardian angel. It's time for you to get reacquainted with this beautiful being who is so completely dedicated to everything that really matters to your true soul. When a friend recently asked Judah about guardian angels, this is what they said. The ratio of benevolent cosmic beings to humans is 2-to-1. Some of those benevolent beings are angels, some are disembodied souls, and some are extraterrestrials of various races. Every human soul is assigned at least one angelic soul, and these are commonly known as guardian angels. It is very important for humans to ask for and embrace the vast resource of angelic and cosmic help available. In the case of this vessel, our collective has been watching over her earth journey since birth. You might think of us as her spirit guides or guardian angels. Know that you are ever under our watchful eyes. There is never a moment in which we look away or fail to give you our attention, and we're not taken by surprise. In other words, things that you consider to be a misfortune are not at all a misfortune. They are rather a change in circumstance guided by our hands for our particular reasons. Our particular reasons always centered in your best interest. Your guardian angel is present with you in this moment, so speak to them in childlike faith. Ask them to share their name with you. Talk with them just like you would a person you met at a social gathering. Ask them questions about themselves and about their relationship to you. Listen to the internal thought impressions that follow. We aren't looking for fireworks here. The gentlest of these impressions are likely your most accurate answers. These may begin to be accompanied by a slight physical sensation or tingling or pressure in one or more areas of your body. Show respect for the gentle thought messages that you are receiving by writing them down or voice recording them. Long before cell phones and apps were invented, Saint Teresa of Avila had a powerful, internal, angel-attracting soul. In modern-day history, we think of her as a saint. However, Teresa described herself as a miscreant, prone to troublemaking and vanity, addicted to reading romance novels and obsessed with her image and worldly reputation. Her mother died at the age of 12, and not long afterwards she was sent away to a convent where she remained for the rest of her life. There Teresa became intimately acquainted with her guardian angel, and she had profound, rule-breaking encounters with higher dimensional beings that she called guides and spiritual voices. Here's a quote from Teresa's autobiography. "I saw an angel appear in bodily form close to my left side. He was not large, but small and extremely beautiful. His face was aflame with fire, so much that he appeared to be one of the highest ranks of angels, those that we call seraphim or cherubim. In his hands I saw a golden spear with an iron tip at the end that appeared to be on fire. He plunged it into my heart several times, all the way to my entrails. When he drew it out, he seemed to draw them out with it as well, leaving me all on fire with love for God. So gentle yet powerful is this wooing that takes place between God and the soul, that if anyone thinks I am lying, I pray that God in His goodness will grant him or her some experience of it. Within her convent in the world of religious Catholicism, Teresa was both a rebel and an ardent spiritual seeker. She was notorious for confronting the inconsistencies in the lives and messages of the patriarchs she served. While Teresa lived within the constraints of her 3D convent, her 4D contemplative life and her 5D soul lived in this expansive cosmic world that was filled with truth and angels. She was devoted to her own personal relationship with God, her guides, and her own unique brand of mysticism. She was prone to ecstatic states of bliss in which she lost the use of all of her faculties. And during these experiences, Teresa's soul felt completely overcome by the power and love of another. She believed very strongly that these experiences had a lasting effect on her soul and rapidly accelerated her spiritual growth. Understand that angels and other non-physical guides do not have human limitations. They are not restrained by time or space, and they have all the information and empowerment they need to be effective in their assistance. Most importantly, they are motivated by love, and they have endless patience. You are never bothering them with your requests, and no request is too small or too large for them. Angels are infinitely wise, and their primary passion is serving humans and other souls in their enlightenment process.
Hello. I'm Teresa of Avila. They call me Saint Teresa. They sainted me in the Catholic Church, which I think is quite amusing. Of course, they never do that until after you're dead, of course. Well, now I'm a part of the great cloud of witnesses, which is this it's a wonderful family of beings like myself that lived and walked on the earth and stumbled about just like you're doing, and now I'm in this lovely realm. Some of you think of it as heaven, and I offer my assistance from here, my loving prayers for all of you. And saint or sinner, whatever you think of me, it doesn't really matter to me. You see, I'm just a soul like you, a beautiful soul, and I was quite a firecracker, as you might say, when I was on the earth. Yeah, I was a bit of a troublemaker and a miscreant, even though my whole context for life, most of it was within convent walls, and in the mindsets and structures of Catholicism, which I loved. It was all that I knew, you see. Now I'm on the other side. I have a lot broader perspective, which I will enjoy sharing some of it with you now. But this vessel is asked me specifically to talk to you about asking angels. So let me stick with that. Yes, let me stick with that for a bit here. So I have a tendency to wander on this and that and the other. Well, in my faith, in my time on earth, of course, we believed in angels, but they were some sort of a distant, something that only really special people like priests or saints of old had access to. But you see, that was not my experience. I don't know, I just had such a passion for God and for being true to my purpose and close to my Creator, and had such a natural and childlike openness to spiritual things that somehow I just managed to attract these beautiful beings into my life. Yes, they would come around, and sometimes I could feel their presence, other times not, but I experienced them like voices in my head, All people today would probably call me crazy, and that's fine, Fortunately, I lived in a time where people like me were left to ourselves. And so I would experience these different voices, and the reason I could distinguish them as being different from me, because they were new and original thoughts. They weren't things that I would normally think about or dwell on, or they would just be so profound and so freeing and so wise. Sometimes I knew they weren't from little old Teresa here, this aroused about that I was. So and the thoughts, these voices that I would hear would have a profound effect on my way of thinking and being, and I just knew that they were thoughts that were greater than me, and so I called them my voices. And the more I drew close to these messages I was hearing and gave them some credence, and I began to have this inspiration, maybe these are spirit guides of some sort. Well, I used this word spirit guides before it was cool and to people like yourself. And I use this word guides because I was getting so much guidance from these messages that seemed to be just dropped into my being. And of course, I wrote them down. I was very appreciative, and so I wrote them down. And so over time, the more I leaned into these thoughts being dropped in, that I began to think, might be something other than just me, a higher being, then they began to appear with more regularity and persistence and more presence. I could feel the heat of their presence in the room with me, or sometimes a little wind. Whoo, whoo. I would feel a little wind scoot by, and I would, there they are. Or just feel this sense of, like the atmosphere in the room changed, like the air was suddenly more breathable and lighter. And then over time, of course, they even began to appear in their physical presence to me, and I began to see them, and it was such awe and wonder. And of course, they just scared me quite to death, but it was all worth it. And sometimes their presence was so glorious and blissful that it was even, painful to my body. Painful, but it was so precious what they were doing that I wasn't willing to say no or turn away. And I'm so thankful that I didn't. And I was so revolutionized by what they were saying and doing in my life that I really did not care what people thought. Because when something like this happens to you, when these angelic beings come to you, it is so transformative, and you wouldn't trade it for anything, not for $1 million. And so, my dear, just be open. Listen to what this vessel has said to you in this step. I look forward to adding my prayers and good loving intention to what is going on with you. And I know you are beginning wonderful, 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 life-changing relationships with angels and other beings. And, well, you call them sometimes in your day and time, you call them ETs, but we think of them all as angels, as spirit guides. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what words you use, my dear. Just be open. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid that some wily dark thing is going to come around, because you have discernment. You have the Spirit of God inside of you. You know what sounds true and right and good, and just stick with that and don't worry about the rest. Well, it's been so fun to be with you. We wish we could stay longer, and well, I will stay from where I am, and I talk a lot, so I will wrap it up here. But I just want you to know how beloved you are, all by the Lord Jesus and by so many other beautiful beings that care for your soul. And I thank you for the privilege of speaking with you today. Teresa of Avila, thank you.
Once, after an extraordinary visit with the Pleiadians, I thanked them for their powerful messages, for their time and the vibrant energies they shared with us, and this was their response. We appreciate your gratitude. Understand that working with you is a joy for us. We do not have other things to do. We do not need to do the dishes or cut the grass. This is our work, and we enjoy it.